God's timing is not only perfect, it is strategic. When God declares that something is planned for a specific moment, He is revealing that He is not improvising. He is not responding to situations the way we do. He is not adjusting plans based on how things unfold. No, God operates according to a divine calendar, one that He authored before the foundation of the world. When He says it's all planned for the end of May, that is not a vague hope. It is a prophetic declaration rooted in sovereign design. Every step you've taken, every season of waiting, every tear you've cried, every prayer you've lifted up in silence, all of it has been part of a greater orchestration that leads to this appointed time. God is never late, even when we feel like He's taking too long. In our impatience, we often misinterpret His silence as absence. But silence does not mean inactivity. The God of heaven is always working, and His work is precise. The Word says in Ecclesiastes 3:1, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." That means your breakthrough is not random. Your healing, your deliverance, your elevation, none of it happens outside of the appointed time. If God has spoken that something will shift at the end of May, then no force in hell or on earth can stop it. Think about Noah. God didn't just tell him to build an ark. He told him when the rain would come. Think about Abraham. God gave him the promise of Isaac, but He also said, "At the appointed time I will return, and Sarah shall have a son." Think about the Israelites. They were in slavery for 400 years, but deliverance came exactly when God said it would. He even told Moses, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people, and I am come down to deliver them." God had a timetable, and when the fullness of that time came, the Red Sea split and a nation walked into freedom. Now consider your life. You may be in a season where you feel overlooked, passed over, or delayed. You've been holding on to promises, declarations, dreams, and yet you haven't seen the fullness. But God is saying it's all planned. The struggles weren't pointless. The waiting wasn't wasted. The prayers you whispered when no one saw, the ones soaked in tears and groans, God was bottling them, noting them, recording them. Why? Because His timing is perfect, and He has marked the end of May for something specific. It's not about your calendar. It's about heaven's. Sometimes the waiting is the preparation. If God had given you what you're praying for last year, you wouldn't have been ready to steward it. Sometimes the delay is not denial. It's a divine holding pattern to grow your capacity. It's God shaping your character so that when the blessing arrives, it doesn't crush you. The pain, the delays, the closed doors, they've been sharpening your discernment, increasing your dependence on God, and teaching you to trust the process. When we trust God's timing, we stop striving in the flesh. We stop comparing ourselves to others. We stop panicking when things don't happen the way we expected. Instead, we anchor ourselves in faith, declaring, "If God said the end of May, then I will stand, I will watch, and I will prepare." Because the shift is not coming for the distracted. It's not coming for the double-minded. It's coming for those who heard the word, who believe the word, and who are ready to receive it. Don't miss this moment because you grew weary in the wait. The end of May is not a casual suggestion. It's a divine appointment. The doors that didn't open before, they will open if it's the time God ordained. The favor that seemed distant, it will flow in when you step into the timing of God. The people who rejected you, the opportunities that fell apart, the chapters that closed, none of it was outside His control. He allowed it all to protect the integrity of His plan. Because when He moves in power. And when He says it's time, nothing can stand in the way. So rest, not in passivity, but in prophetic expectation. Stand on the word. Set your eyes like flint. Watch and pray. For the God who plans does not forget. And the one who marks the end of May with purpose will not be late. He is right on schedule. There is a divine truth many overlook in seasons of waiting. Preparation always precedes fulfillment. God never releases destiny before He shapes the vessel that will carry it. Before the promise is delivered, the heart must be ready. Before elevation comes, there must be consecration. When God says it's all planned for the end of May, He is not just pointing to a date, He is issuing a call to prepare, a call to align, a call to get in position for what He is about to do. Too often people cry out for breakthrough without asking if they're truly ready to handle it. We want God to move, but we resist the process that makes us capable of carrying what He's about to release. If you knew what was coming, you'd understand why the warfare has been so intense, why the trials have felt unrelenting, why the refining fire has seemed unending. It's because God is preparing you, not punishing you. The crushing was not cruelty, it was formation. The silence was not rejection, it was sacred preparation. God never pours new wine into old wineskins. He doesn't anoint chaos. He prepares the heart, clears the space, calls His people to clean the altar, and only then does He send the fire. That is what this season is about. The days leading to the end of May are days of holy preparation. He is calling His remnant to return to the secret place, to remove the idols, to silence the noise, to cut ties with what is unclean. Because when He releases what He has planned, it won't be for the casual or the complacent. It will be for the consecrated. And yet, in all of this, it's easy to doubt. It's easy to feel like nothing is happening, especially when you don't see immediate results. When the promise still looks distant, when your prayers seem to echo in the dark, that's where the second truth becomes vital. The hidden season is not wasted. What you don't see is often more powerful than what you do see. While you've been waiting, heaven has been working. While you've been weeping, angels have been warring on your behalf. While you've been in the quiet place, God has been setting the stage for a divine unveiling. It's in the hidden places that roots grow deep. It's in obscurity that God forms unshakable identity. Think of David tending sheep. No one saw him, no one honored him, but in that hidden field, God was preparing a king. Think of Joseph in the prison, forgotten by man, but favored by God. God didn't forget the dream. He was just shaping the man who would carry it. And when the moment came, Joseph went from the pit to the palace in a single day. Why? Because the hidden season was never wasted. It was strategic. The same is true for you. The delay you felt was not denial. It was development. The unanswered prayers were not ignored. They were incubating in heaven's perfect timing. And now, as the calendar approaches the end of May, something is shifting. The preparation has not been in vain. The silence has not been empty. God is about to bring you out of the hidden place, not just to bless you, but to reveal His glory through you. So don't despise this stretch of preparation. Don't resent the quiet season. Embrace it. Lean into it. Because when God reveals what He's been planning, it will all make sense. You'll see why the pruning had to happen. You'll understand why the wilderness lasted as long as it did. And you'll testify that it was in the place of preparation and the hiddenness that you were truly made ready. The end of May is not the start of something random. It's the unveiling of something heaven has been preparing all along. There's a sacred mystery in how God works. What we often label as delay or silence is, in truth, divine activity hidden from our view. When God declares that something is planned for the end of May, we must understand that the process leading to that moment includes a season of hiddenness, a time when nothing seems to move, nothing seems to shift, and nothing seems to happen. Yet this is the season where God is most active, though unseen. The hidden season is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you've been forgotten. It is a workshop of transformation. It is where God does His deepest, most profound work in your life, away from the applause, away from the recognition, and away from the visibility. In the hidden place, God forms your identity. He strips away the need for validation, teaches you to hear His voice above all others, and anchors your faith not in outcomes, but in who He is. In this place, your motives are purified, your character is tested, and your vision is clarified. The hidden season is sacred because it is where God refines you for what He's about to release. He doesn't waste pain, nor does He delay fulfillment just to tease you. He delays only when He's developing something greater in you than what you asked for. You may feel like you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. And when something is planted, it grows in silence before it breaks the surface. You haven't been buried in disappointment, you've been planted in destiny. And God is watering that seed with every trial, every test, and every moment of obedience. At the appointed time, which may very well be the end of May, that seed will burst through the soil, revealing what has been growing in the dark. This leads us to one of the most urgent truths of this hour. The remnant must arise and respond. God is not calling everyone. He is calling those who have ears to hear, hearts to obey, and spirits that burn with holy fire. The remnant is the faithful few who didn't give up when others walked away. They stayed when it was hard. They prayed when it was dry. They fasted when it hurt. They worshiped when they felt nothing. These are the ones heaven is now summoning to attention. When God prepares to release something monumental, He doesn't broadcast it to the masses. He whispers it to the remnant. He doesn't need the crowd. He needs the consecrated. In every generation, God has used a remnant to shift the course of history. Noah was a remnant. Elijah was a remnant. Esther was a remnant. The early church was a remnant. They were not many, but they were mighty because they were surrendered. God is looking for that same response now. He is calling for those who will rise not just with passion, but with purity. Not just with gifting, but with holiness. Not just with faith, but with fire. This call to arise is not casual. It's urgent. It's not emotional hype. It's prophetic activation. Something is coming, and only the remnant will be able to steward it. The end of May isn't about a date. It's about a divine movement that requires vessels who have been purified by fire and proven in secret. If you felt like you've been overlooked, misunderstood, or held back, you may be part of that remnant. You've been in the fire because God has chosen you to carry something holy. But to walk in it, you must respond. You must wake up. You must return to the altar. This is not the time to play church. This is the time to be the church. It's the time to fast again, to pray until something breaks, to weep between the porch and the altar, to cry out for revival, not just in the world, but in your own heart. Because what's coming cannot be carried by the lukewarm. It cannot be handled by the prideful. It's for the remnant whose hands are clean and hearts are burning. And as you step into this awareness, as you realize you were never forgotten in the hidden season and that your perseverance has qualified you to be part of this remnant, know this: God is moving. The end of May is not the end of hope. It is the birthing of destiny. Everything that has been hidden, every silent battle, every quiet act of obedience, it's about to make sense. God didn't forget you. He was forming you for such a time as this. Now rise, respond, and be ready. There is a divine strategy unfolding even when we can't see it. When God says it's all planned for the end of May, it is not a vague encouragement. It is a prophetic declaration rooted in eternal timing. Heaven doesn't operate on human calendars, but God knows how to align His divine appointments with earthly dates. What looks like an ordinary season on the surface may be pregnant with supernatural intention. You've been walking through what felt like silence, but in the background, heaven has been orchestrating every detail. What appeared to be delay was actually divine precision. God is never late. He is always on time. And when He marks a season, it is because something has been fully matured in the spiritual realm, ready to manifest in your life. That's why it's crucial not to lose heart during the waiting. Often, right before the breakthrough, everything feels like it's falling apart. Confusion increases, pressure mounts, doors seem to close. It's not because God has abandoned you, it's because the spiritual tension reveals how close you are to transition. The enemy always intensifies warfare before a divine release. The moment you're tempted to give up is often the moment you're about to step into everything you've been praying for. You're not being crushed, you're being positioned. The shaking isn't the end, it's the sign that the shift is near. But for that shift to take root, preparation must precede promotion. God doesn't bring fulfillment to an unprepared vessel. There are things He must strip, cleanse, and reorder in you before He can trust you with the weight of what He's planned. Many cry out for the blessing, but few embrace the process. Yet it's the process that proves you. It's in the fire that your purity is refined. It's in the wilderness that your obedience is tested. You learn to depend not on signs, but on His voice. Not on comfort, but on His presence. Preparation is not punishment. It is promotion in disguise. That's why God often isolates those He intends to elevate. Before the unveiling, there must be a hiding. Before the public platform, there must be a private altar. God takes you through seasons where He seems silent, where you feel unseen, not because He is angry, but because He is building something eternal in you. The higher the calling, the deeper the foundation must be. And that foundation is laid in obscurity, where motives are exposed, pride is broken, and faith becomes unshakable. So if you've been in a hidden place, rejoice. God hides what is valuable. The fact that He concealed you means He's been shaping something sacred. In this sacred shaping, He begins to speak to a remnant. Not to the masses, but to the surrendered. God always reserves a remnant through whom He releases His next move. These are the ones who didn't walk away when it was hard, who stayed faithful when no one was watching, who burned with hunger when others grew cold. The remnant is not perfect, but they are willing. They are yielded. And when God marks a moment in time, like the end of May, it is often to reveal what He's deposited in that remnant through the trials, the tears, and the testing. He doesn't need a multitude to change the world. He needs a remnant who's been refined by fire and who will carry His glory without compromise. These are the ones who rise from the ashes of delay and declare, "I'm still here. I still believe." These are the ones who are positioned not by talent but by trust. God is calling that remnant now, not to watch but to arise, not to wait passively but to prepare actively, to cleanse their altars, to lay down distractions, to seek His face like never before. Because when the moment comes, only those who have been made ready will have the oil to step into it. So as the calendar draws closer to what God has marked, don't just wait for something to happen, prepare for it. Stir up your faith, rekindle your fire, seek Him with all your heart. Because what's coming is not the result of chance. It's the result of every hidden prayer, every obedient step, every act of surrender. And when the fullness of time arrives, you'll realize this: it was all planned. Every tear, every test, every season of silence, God was never absent. He was preparing you for exactly what He had already prepared for you. When God declares that something is planned for a set time, like the end of May, it is not a random prediction, but a divine signal. God moves with purpose, and every date He marks is tied to a deeper unfolding of His plan. You may not understand what's happening in the natural, but heaven is already in motion. Behind the scenes, the doors are being aligned, hearts are being stirred, and divine connections are being prepared. What you thought was still far off is actually closer than it looks. You've been feeling the tension, the weight, and perhaps even the spiritual warfare increasing, and that's a sign that something is about to shift. The intensity is the evidence that you're nearing the moment of release. Often the greatest shifts in our lives are preceded by moments of silence and confusion, but silence does not mean absence. God has been working in the unseen realm, shaping outcomes and molding you into the vessel that can carry the next level of purpose. During these times, it's easy to think you've been forgotten, to wonder if the promise was real. But the silence is actually sacred. It's in the silence that God refines your discernment. You begin to recognize His whisper. You begin to value obedience over outcome. The silence becomes the space where your roots grow deep, so that when the winds of change come, you won't be moved. That's why you had to be hidden. That's why things didn't unfold when you thought they would, because God was developing something deeper than you asked for. Coming, you must understand the weight of preparation. The blessings of the end of May will not be handed out randomly. They will be entrusted to those who are ready. And readiness is not about talent or charisma. It's about obedience and purity. It's about having your heart aligned with God's heart. It's about being willing to let go of what is good in order to receive what is God. This season of preparation has not been about delay. It's been about capacity. God has been enlarging your ability to carry what's next. He's been teaching you to depend on Him completely. Every battle has been stretching your faith. Every closed door has been teaching you to trust. Every disappointment has been refining your discernment. All of it has been preparation for what's about to be revealed. And when that moment comes, when the calendar turns and what God has spoken begins to manifest, it won't just be about personal breakthrough. It will be about divine purpose. You're not just being blessed for your own sake. You're being positioned to impact others, to release what God has placed inside you, and to become a vessel for His glory. The end of May may be a time of personal fulfillment, but it will also be a launching point for kingdom assignments. This is not about a temporary relief. It's about a permanent realignment. God is setting things in order, and your role in that order matters. So don't shrink back. Don't second guess what you've heard in your spirit. Don't let the pressure make you retreat. Now is the time to stand, to believe, to declare, because it's all been planned. Every step, every tear, every battle, nothing has been wasted. And when the moment arrives, it won't be by accident. It will be the fulfillment of everything God whispered to you in the secret place. Get ready, not with anxiety, but with anticipation. Because the God who promised is faithful, and the time He marked is almost here. When God says it's all planned for the end of May, He is speaking not just of time, but of destiny. This is not about a vague hope or a distant possibility. It's a declaration that heaven has scheduled a divine appointment. Everything you've walked through has been leading to this. What felt like delay was actually design. What looked like detours were divine redirections. You didn't miss it. You didn't lose it. You're right on schedule with heaven's clock. And now, as this appointed time approaches, the atmosphere is shifting. You can feel it in your spirit. The tension, the urgency, the stirring deep within. It's all part of the preparation for what is about to be revealed. But it's crucial to understand that God doesn't just move in dates, He moves through preparation. The time of manifestation is only as powerful as your readiness to receive it. God will not release the weight of destiny into a vessel that hasn't been strengthened to carry it. That's why the fire came. That's why the isolation happened. That's why the doors shut and the friends left and the answers seemed silent. Because God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. The season of refinement was proof that something valuable was coming. You don't purify what's worthless, you purify what's precious. Every trial has been shaping you for trust. Every loss has been carving out room in your heart for the increase that's on its way. But even as breakthrough approaches, the enemy does not rest. In fact, he intensifies his attack right before the release. Confusion increases, distractions multiply, old wounds resurface. Why? Because the enemy wants to pull you out of position. He knows that if you're distracted, discouraged, or disobedient, you'll miss what's being poured out. But this is not the time to be passive. This is not the moment to retreat. You must stand your ground, guard your heart, stay alert, stay in the Word, keep your oil full. Because what's coming is not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. And only those who are prepared will step into the fullness of it. Final moments before the appointed time, stay focused. Don't measure what's coming by what you see now. Look through the lens of faith. Speak what God has spoken, even if your circumstances still look barren. Praise like it's already done. Pray like you're standing on the edge of promise. Because you are. The shaking was part of the setup. The pressure was part of the preparation. And the moment you've been waiting for is not a possibility. It's a certainty in the mind of God. He planned it. He spoke it. And now He will bring it to pass. Not by might, not by power, but by His Spirit. Get ready. The time is now.